I'm Chris P, and a couple years ago I decided to get together with some artist friends and record our conversations while we draw, maybe have a couple drinks or two. It's probably not funny, the audio quality's not so great, we broke the 180 rule and had to flip the master shot, but if you like listening to artists talk about drawing and shit that happened to them, then maybe this is for you. It's called The Tongue and Pencil. Here we are at this experiment I'm calling The Tongue and Pencil. Welcome, Kate Micucci, doodler.
Doodler. That is exactly. It's true. I feel like you were just telling me who you've had, and I'm a doodler compared to these guys.
Doodler, but also singer, actress.
Yes,
all around,
this is true.
You know.
Thank you for having me, Chris. Thank you.
Yeah. So what we're gonna do is draw some pictures, and then we'll switch it in the middle and bullshit a little bit. Sound good?
Sounds good. I have no idea what I'm going to draw.
All right.
Do you?
Well, not yet.
Okay.
No, but you're going to use a Sharpie, right?
I'm using a Sharpie, yes.
All right. I'm going to use this type of pen.
So when we switch?
A Staedtler pigment liner. But don't feel obligated to use it.
Okay.
I'll just, we'll draw and we'll do whatever.
Sounds good.
So, let me start off by asking a little bit about yourself. You were born in New Jersey, right?
Yep, I was born in Somerville, New Jersey.
Right on. I'm another Jersey.
Where are you from?
I'm from Trenton, New Jersey.
Really?
Well, that's where I was born, and then I grew up in Bordentown, which is just a little bit south.
Trenton is very pretty, I think, isn't it? Am I mistaken?
If you consider like a horrible ghetto,
always trying
pretty,
to a ghetto.
It's like kind of like if you like Camden or Newark, you'll like Trenton.
Oh, okay, it's along the lines of that. Okay,
Yeah.
Maybe I was thinking. I was thinking Princeton.
Princeton is beautiful.
It is beautiful.
That one's great.
Do you remember that Walter Matthau movie, IQ? It was about Einstein, and it was set in Princeton.
Oh
It was
yeah,
very
because
pretty.
that's where he's from. Oh, so many smart guys. Edison.
Yep.
Also from Princeton. The and that's all I got. Edison. I know he's from Princeton.
Two big important people to be from New Jersey.
Exactly. So, and then you grew up in like Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania,
right?
Nazareth. So when I was 8, my parents decided to move us out of New Jersey, which I understood because my town that I lived in was like a little bit it was nice, but I feel like it wasn't. They wanted a more wholesome environment for my brother and I.
Yeah.
So we went to Nazareth, Pennsylvania, which is as wholesome as you can get, I think, especially back then. But
how's it different now?
there's a lot more people there now, so I don't really know. I mean, and I haven't really lived there in over 10 years, so I don't really know exactly, but it feels a little different when I'm there.
So is your family still living?
Yeah, my mom and dad are still there, and
right
yeah, I just think at the time it was like mostly farm fields, and so I thought like, oh, we are moving to like the country, and I actually thought like I want to be like Huck Finn. And my mom bought me a corncob pipe, and I was like playing the part big time. And there were cows across the street. Sometimes the cows would get loose into our yard. Now that would never happen. There's just houses everywhere. So there was something very sweet about, growing up there. It was really simple. I grew up kind of in a bubble.
Well, that's cool. I kind of did the same thing. It's like.
Did you live in New Jersey the whole time?
Yeah, until I went to New York for college.
Where did you go?
No, but even I still lived in Jersey City, which is technically New Jersey.
Right.
It's kind of like part of New York. But I went to the School of Visual Arts. Which is where you go to learn visual arts.
I actually looked into going there.
Oh yeah? Where'd you go to school?
Well, I went to 3 different colleges, but I was going to this art school in Pennsylvania called Keystone College, which was this really cool little school that had a great art program, and it was only a 2-year program, and so I thought, okay, maybe I'll go to SVA, and then at the same time I was getting really into making puppets, and so I thought, I think maybe I want to do puppets instead. So
well, that is an incredible segue into puppets. So you like
how great are puppets
and puppetry, don't you?
I love puppets. I actually just did a puppet like a puppet jam the other day.
Nice.
It was really fun. It was the 1-year anniversary of me getting my appendix out, and so
Whoa.
I had this really beautiful appendix puppet made, and I sang this like sort of brokenhearted song about how much I miss my appendix, and then the appendix came out, and I made out with him, and, we rekindled our love for a moment, and then he ran away. Yeah.
Nice. So do you make your puppets, right?
I used to make like weird little puppets when I was in school out here, because I ended up going to Loyola Marymount University. So when I was at school here, I made this show called A Southern California Christmas, and it was this little kid who just all he wanted for Christmas was for it to snow in Los Angeles. And then I made it snow with light, like I made like a disco ball effect on this like cylinder, and I put the light on the cylinder, and then I turned it around, and it snowed.
Nice.
Yeah, I was pretty proud of it.
That's cool. So how do you get your puppets made nowadays?
Well, actually, I just recently met this puppeteer who's a great builder, and this girl Adrienne Rose Leonard, so she built my appendix puppet for me.
Nice.
But I'm hopeful we'll keep making stuff because she's awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah, but we, and in Garfunkel Oates, which is my comedy band, we had a show, and we made a puppet video for that, and that was really cool. So the day I got to puppeteer was like super exciting.
So you incorporate. So tell us a little bit, just for the people on the internet who may not be aware, like what Garfunkel and Oates is.
Well, we are just like a comedy duo. I play the ukulele, my friend Ricky plays guitar, and then a lot of our songs are pretty dirty. So, but some of them aren't. Some of them are just really sweet. We have a song that we just are finishing up recording. It's called Such a Loser. Actually, a version of it was on our TV show, but it's like an anthem to people who try, or for people who try. So that was cool. So it's not all dirty stuff.
So cool. So now that people who may not have know what that is, tell us the story you were going to say about Garfunkel and Oates and puppets.
Oh,
maybe?
yeah. So we had this really cool video in our show. Two puppets. We have a gay wedding for these two puppets, and so we made a puppet music video to one of our songs, and it was really neat. I got to be the preacher puppet, which was like, he was marrying them, and I got to move the little mustache, and it was like, as thrilling as it is to actually act in your own television show, I was like so excited to be, have my hand up this puppet and working it. That was very, very exciting.
That's gay marriage is an issue that you've addressed in other songs, the Ducks.
Oh yeah, that was one of our first songs, actually. Yeah, I feel like it's actually even just since that we wrote that in 2009. I feel like it's come a long way, which is a very good thing.
Exactly. I went to a puppet class. I took I guess you would call it maybe a semester of puppeteering for television, because my friend who is a puppet guy and a magician and an animator was like, he got all of his friends to sign up for this class because if there weren't enough people, they weren't going to do the class. So
was it out here?
Yeah, it was out here. It was, what was the guy's name?
Was it Michael?
Yeah.
Michael Earl?
Yeah, Michael Earl. Did we take that class?
This is so crazy, because my very first day in Los Angeles, I found out that there was a puppet class, and I couldn't go to the whole thing. I could only go for one day, but I showed up, and Michael is awesome, and he was I think he was Snuffleupagus, is that right?
Yeah, he was Snuffleupagus. I think he may have been Big Bird in like the movie or something.
Right.
Like he's been a couple guys, but Snuffleupagus was his big role, his breakout.
That's so funny. How long ago did you take that class?
Probably like 3, maybe 4 years ago.
Oh, okay. Because
like
I was gonna say, what if we were in the same class for that one day?
That would have been crazy.
That would be. That'd be awesome.
But what I learned in that, maybe you know this, because there were like, over the semester, he drilled in you. The first half of the class was learning the drills that you need to know if you're going to become a professional puppeteer, which was kind of the boring part. And then the second, because it was a long class, it was like a 3-hour long class. Then the second, there'd be a little break, and then you did the improv part, which was the great part, because I just called that playing with puppets.
Yeah.
And since everybody in my class were people that I know and work with and are funny people, that was amazing. But they put the let me see if I can get this in frame. Like, these were the positions. So it was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right?
I haven't thought about that since I took this class in 2001.
Yeah, and I never forgot it, right? But
Yeah.
then, as the class, so you learn that, and then you get more advanced. Then he starts calling it out like choreography. He would be like, okay, go from a 3 into a 7, and then 2 2s and a 1, and this, and then you'd be like, get all lost with the puppeteering and stuff. And I also found that I'm not cut out for puppeteering because I have short, stubby arms. And like some of the guys in the class were like long, gangly arm guys, and they did great. Their head was never popping up in the frame.
You know, I have very long arms for a person, but I am short, so I think being tall is a good thing too for
Being tall with long arms
Yeah.
is a great asset if you're a puppeteer. If you look at pictures of like Jim Henson and Frank Oz, I think they fit that like body type.
I recently did 23andMe, you know, that genetic testing where you spit into the thing, and I found out I have a very high percentage of Neanderthal.
Really?
Yeah,
That's
I don't know
good.
if you can see how hairy my arms are. It's pretty
on.
hairy. It's sad. But
Awesome.
it made sense.
So yeah, Make It Puppets is a discipline you've dabbled in artistically. Clearly, doodling is one. Now, recently, I've heard that your doodles, which have been featured, you know, certainly in your Instagram, but also on your TV show recently.
Yeah, we actually had a really awesome animated video that I gave the animators my drawings, and then they turned them into a video, which was really exciting.
So how was that process? Were you like, oh man, that doesn't look like my drawings at all? Or were you like, whoa, they super nailed it?
I like started crying. They like nailed it so like it was above and beyond what I imagined. Like I just handed them a bunch of I just like drew on typing paper. Like it wasn't even like, and I was just like, here's what I was thinking, and you know I probably gave them 10 drawings. It wasn't even a
That's
lot.
awesome.
And then
I saw it. It looked great.
Yeah.
I was super stoked.
So they were really really great. So
Nice. And then I think recently you showed me, or maybe I saw it on the internet, that someone got a tattoo.
oh my gosh, yeah, that's right. I think I did. I was so excited. I woke up one day and on Instagram I'd been tagged into this arm with my drawing on it, and I was like, oh, that can't be real. And it was somebody. That was super exciting.
That's awesome. So how did that make you feel? Because I've had people get tattoos of things. I've worked on like Motor City, the show that you were a lead voice
Yeah.
on. So many people have gotten Motor City tattoos, and they
Really?
send them to me, and I think, wow, on one hand, that is awesome and cool, and then on the other hand, I want to tell them like, you are 19 years old, you may have just made a horrible mistake. Like
I don't have one tattoo. I can't imagine. Like I just personally can't imagine doing it. I know tons of people do, but like that was when I saw that someone had tattooed my eye. I was like, oh my gosh! Like that took me, you know, a minute, 2 minutes maybe, and then that's just so permanent on this person.
Yeah.
But I feel like if they connected to it
Yeah,
so much,
it's
I mean,
very
it's
cool.
it's just so flattering.
Yeah, and I've talked to people. I'm not a tattooed person too. I always intended to get tattoos, and then I would draw them in my sketchbook, and then 6 months later I'd be like, I'm so happy I didn't get that tattoo. It's awful, but I think people who are heavily tattooed, the ones I've spoken with, often see it as like a history of their interests, and if they're not into the thing that they were into at one point now, it's like, well, that's what I liked in 1998 or whatever.
Yeah.
Like I have a friend who got like in like the mid 90s, like one of those like generic alien heads, because he was like a weird like conspiracy alien dude, and then it became like this kind of shitty, like it's on pogs and on drug paraphernalia and wearing cat in a hat hats, and he's like, motherfucker, everybody thinks I got this alien tattoo because I like that kind of shit, and I'm like, well, sorry.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That I feel like there's definitely certain tattoo fads that, you know, like the tramp stamp.
Yeah,
That's like unfortunate.
I know many 40-year-old women who
Yeah.
now have a tramp stamp because they got it when they were in their 20s or whatever.
Oops,
Yeah.
you know, like.
And early adopters of the tramp stamp, before it was that like expression was coined, it wasn't like limited to ladies and like tough dudes. I know a couple of dudes who got like lower back tattoos
Really?
at some point of like, you know, just like tribal stuff. I mean, that's not going to be your first tattoo, I think, if you're a tattoo dude. But and then they are super. I think most of those guys have turned that into full back tattoos.
Oh, right.
I think if you don't erase them if you're a committed person that has like sleeves and neck and stuff like that. You just keep making it more elaborate, right?
Yeah. I can't think of one off the top of my head, but I love seeing those like mistakes in tattoos, like, you know, misspellings like, oh man.
Yeah, those are awesome.
I'm realizing it's funny because when I color, I can talk for however long, because coloring is different than drawing. Mm-hmm. Like drawing it's harder to draw and talk. Yeah. Do you think?
Do you want some things to color in with?
Oh no, I'm going for it. I feel like I'm creating a real conundrum for you though.
JJ's got a box.
I'm afraid I'm filling too much of the page.
No, that's fun.
Yeah,
that's fun. That's what we want to do.
But yeah,
there's no rules here.
I realize like I'm to talk. It's almost like, you know, like patting my head and like rubbing my stomach. Like it's tricky to do.
Crazy, right? It's challenging.
Yeah.
Now you got a lot more respect for the Bob Rosses of the world.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I loved watching him. I used to I would watch him for a couple minutes and then, you know, change the channel and watch something else and then go back to see how far he got. Like, I never really watched it all the way through.
Yeah, I think very few people did watch it all the way through. Although, I went to school with a guy whose name was Joe Laser. And he actually owned a laser, which wasn't as common in the mid-90s.
So,
he had like a big weird tube with a laser on it. This is a side conversation where we would sit next to the PATH train, which is like the subway for people who didn't live in New Jersey. And we'd point the laser at the ground when people were coming out of the subway and make the little red dot move around. And it wasn't as common then, so people weren't like, oh, that's a laser. They're like, what the fuck is that red dot? And they'd, just like a cat, they'd be looking around and be like, what the fuck is going on? Anyway, Joe Laser learned to paint by watching Bob Ross and had all the Bob Ross videos and the whole Bob Ross art kit, and he was an amazing fucking painter. So, like, Bob Ross, good for you. You taught Joe Laser and probably thousands or hundreds of thousands of other people how to paint real good.
And also, I think it help people to think like, oh, I can totally do that. But I always love to imagine the people that were at home, you know, really trying.
Yeah.
So, you know, he was so fast.
It's true.
He had some tricks up his sleeve.
He did have a lot of tricks. And you know, if he messed up, he didn't get sad. He made his mistake in part of the art.
I think that's probably the biggest lesson from Bob Ross.
Yeah, it's a good thing to learn.
Yeah. You can always turn it into something. I used to have, I don't really get temper tantrums much anymore. But when I was in art school, that's when I really did. I'd get so close to being done with something and just like smash it or rip it up. Or.
So what did you study? Like, did you have a specific discipline?
Well, painting and sculpture. I guess I didn't really have like one specific thing, but it was the first 2 years. So you but painting was the one thing I really gravitated to, like oil painting, which I haven't done since.
Oil painting, super time consuming.
It's time consuming, and when you live in a small apartment, it's maybe not the healthiest thing to do in your apartment.
Breathing in that turpentine. Yeah. My mom has become an amazing oil painter.
Really?
She's retired, and she picked it up like 10 years ago, and she paints pretty much every day, and she's like incredible. And there's this show that we host at Titmouse called Eat Your Art Out. That's like a benefit for the LA Derby girls, and it's a group show. And I asked them, I didn't want to tell them that it was my mom. I was like, hey, I have someone who wants to contribute a piece to the show, and they're like, send it. They're like, oh, we definitely want this in, and it's real validating
so cool.
for my mom. I'm like, you're gonna be in an art show in Hollywood.
Oh my
She's
gosh!
super excited
Is she in New Jersey?
She moved out here.
Oh, okay.
She used to live. She lived in Pennsylvania, actually, most of the time. Like, after I went to school, they moved to Pennsylvania because New Jersey has such high taxes.
Yeah, that's true. That is so true.
And, but since now I got this little kid, she likes to come out and be the grandmom, and then we were like, why don't you just move here? It'll be easier for everybody. And then this kid will know his grandma.
Yeah, right?
So that's cool.
Does she like it out here?
Yeah, I think she loves being the grandma. So
I always think
it's
that
everything.
if my parents would, I don't know that my parents would move out here, but I just, driving out here is a different thing than out.
Yeah, they
out
don't
West
really
Coast.
drive much. Like my mom's coming to this crazy animation night thing we're doing tonight, and I'm just sending an Uber for
So
her
much
because
easier.
her driving into Hollywood, especially on this weekend of the Oscars, going to a place, the Egyptian, which is like just a few blocks away, you know, from the insanity of, you know, Hollywood Boulevard.
Right, yeah, it's going to
you
be
know?
really nuts getting there. It's
Yeah. So
super
Uber's
crazy.
way better. Yeah, so painting and music.
Music.
So ukulele, when did you pick that up?
I picked that up. My grandpa bought me one. I was in Hawaii for 3 months. I was living with my aunt and uncle. This was after my 2-year art school experience, and I was trying to figure out where I wanted to go next, but I was paying for school on my own. So it was just like, I don't want to make a mistake and spend so many thousands of dollars and not be happy.
Yeah.
So I took this semester off and lived with my aunt and uncle in Hawaii, and my grandpa happened to be there at the time too. And I lived on their porch, and I slept in a giant chair that we called the crib. And
Nice.
yeah, and it was awesome. And while I was there, my grandpa, you know, he got me this tiny little ukulele that I painted. I painted on. I still have it. And yeah, actually, my brother has it. But and then so I just had it on my wall for so many years. Then, like 2003, I picked it up again. So a couple years later, and started writing little songs. And then yeah, it's just kind of crazy how I never thought that was going to be the thing that like led me to making music. I was not a singer.
Yeah.
You know, I was told not to sing. I probably would still be told that, but I do it anyway.
How did you start your Garfunkel and Oates thing with Ricky? Like you started playing the ukulele, and did the comedy part start first, or the music part?
Yeah, it was during the writer's strike in 2007. So Ricky was like, I really want to make something. Like, I'm bored out of my mind. So she wrote a short. And then early in 2008, we were friends. We knew each other just like, we were like, you know, would go out for lunch, go to game nights together, like things like that.
Sure.
And she had seen me perform, and she said, would you want to, because I was doing some solo stuff on, you know, I was playing around town, and I had a show at the Steve Allen Theater called Playing with Micucci.
I remember that.
That was the dirtiest part of my show, was the title. Funny that I then ended up doing Garfunkel Oates, which is so dirty. But I feel, you know what, I feel like I gotta leave you space. I could just fill this whole thing up, and I'm not gonna.
Yeah, just to do whatever you want. I could draw and give him weird T-shirt designs or something.
Okay, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
There's plenty of space. You're so considerate.
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
A lot of the other artists, they don't think about what the next guy's gonna do.
Really? Yeah,
I'm trying to
I
set
could
you
go
up.
forever.
I do little things. Give you little word balloons and thought balloons and signs for
right.
you to fill out with things, maybe if you want to. Although there's a fun part of when you get to see the other person's drawing, which is cool. I'm trying not to look, even though I have a little monitor.
Oh,
here,
you have a monitor?
so
Oh,
I
okay.
can know if something bad happens. But the shots looked good. The first couple, Dan, our camera guy over there, the first couple, we've gotten so much better. The Christie footage, his head is poking into the thing so much like this.
Oh,
And
right.
we do things like
Am I
half of
okay?
the things like this. You haven't poked in at
Oh,
all.
good.
Yeah. You're doing great.
Helps not to be tall.
That's true. He's a taller dude, so that's probably it. When Pete Browngardt comes, we'll have to adjust the camera.
Is he very tall?
He is, yeah.
But so yes, getting back to Garfunkel and Oates. Sorry, didn't mean to cut off my own story. We just started writing these little songs for her musical that she was making.
Nice.
And well, we actually only wrote 2.5 songs, and then we put them in the musical. And then Ricky wanted to show her parents, so we put them on YouTube, or Ricky did. I didn't even really understand YouTube yet.
Nice.
And so this was early days of YouTube. And then people started watching them, and then we thought, well, maybe we should write more. And then it just sort
And
of
you
snowballed
did.
from there. Yeah.
That's
And
awesome.
we made a TV show, and I don't know.
Yeah.
We're working on our album, and I mean we have a bunch of albums, but
Well, the
a bunch, 3. We have 3.
The show that I really dug, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
You know, is it weird to kind of play a version of yourself that is you but isn't really you? Because in that story, like, you had a different origin story. You had an initial partner that
right.
that came back into the picture
third member,
wanted
and
to
she
do
was
the third
upset because
member.
she was a super
So,
successful
you know,
actress.
Yeah, clearly that's at least I assume that's fabricated, you know?
Yeah, there was definitely a lot of things that were made up, but...
So where did you draw the line on that? How much did you draw from your real life versus...
Oh, a lot. Definitely toward the end of the season, episodes 7 and 8 are pretty much...
Yeah, that's so good.
A lot more truthful to our own lives.
So proud of those 2 episodes.
Oh, thank you.
I really felt like that was such an honest type of story to tell, especially Ricky's storyline.
With freezing eggs, yeah.
I mean, that's a real, you know, kind of touchy thing to do for a comedy. You know, it's like riding that line, and you guys pulled it off 100%.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think we're both super proud of those last 2 episodes. I think, I mean, we're proud of the whole series. There were just, you know, different storylines that are more personal that I think we feel more connected to.
Yeah.
But I mean, my dating a high schooler was not true. I didn't even date a high schooler when I was in high school. I didn't date until I was like 25. So I took my time there. But yeah, maybe that's just me going back, going, oh, I could have done this.
Yeah.
I could have dated. I don't know if I could have. I was pretty backwards. I was just like happy to be playing like board games with my parents.
Yeah. That's awesome. So, were you doodling a lot in high school?
I wasn't really drawing like I draw now at all. I was always drawing very realistic. Like I would bring my sketchbook to, you know, restaurants, and I would sketch people, you know, and I would just like, I was always drawing, but mostly things I saw. I love drawing buildings. I would try to make them as realistic as possible. So I didn't really start drawing cartoons until 2004. I didn't draw cartoons until then. But what happened was I was living out of my car for a little bit, which sounds so dramatic. It was really, I got allergic to the house I was living in. I found out that there was mold in the house, and I wondered why I was so sick all the time. Turned out I had mold poisoning. Oh, no. So it was like, oh, you got to leave like right now. I can't live in this house anymore. Yeah. And so I just put everything in my car and, you know, stayed at friends' houses for that month until I could, you know, find a new place and move in. Yeah. And so I just, you know, had a lot of time in my car, and I just started drawing cartoons during that time.
Yeah, because you really have developed a personal style. Sometimes it takes people a long time to get there.
Thanks. That's cool. I don't know where it came from, really. But
I think a lot of people don't know where it came from. You just kind of do it, and something clicks with you, and you do more of it. And
it felt right, you know. And I mean, it's definitely changed a bit from when I first started.
Yeah.
But
how do you feel like it's changed? That's a cool art thing to talk about, right?
Yeah, I think the faces have changed a lot, and they're still kind of changing. Like the way I draw feet and hands, like actually, it was always sort of that. I think I've just become more confident. Like they weren't as consistent.
Gotcha.
You know, like I think I would sometimes draw people looking a little bit more realistically, or draw hair a little bit different. I think I've just discovered what really works, and then
nice.
Yeah, I look at the
nothing like experience, right?
Yeah.
To get you there. The more you do it, the more confident you get, and the more your bag of tricks gets bigger, and you figure stuff out.
And I think there's something that I like that it's become easier for me to just sit down and click my head into that space to draw cartoons. You know, like how do I say? Like before, I would be like, okay, this has to be perfect. This has to be right.
Oh yeah.
And now I'm just like, well, whatever. Just go for it and see what happens.
Yeah, I gave up on perfect a long time ago.
I would also try to hope that everyone was going to be funny. And now I'm just like, there's going to be a lot that aren't funny.
I used to keep like way more precious sketchbooks where each page I'm like, man, I don't want to have a shitty page in my sketchbook. So I try to make everyone good, and that's the surefire way to not grow, is to not take chances. So I find when I drew on Post-its and just stuff like that, it's way more freeing, just way more like you don't give a shit. The less you give a shit when you're drawing, the more likely you are to come up with something cool. I think
totally. And I think also like not having the freedom to like being an art student and not having a lot of money, and then knowing that, oh, this is a piece of sketch paper, this costs money, and like I think money really has something to do with the freedom of like, oh, I don't want to ruin this, or I don't want to waste all this paint.
And I still have books that I bought when I was in high school of like nice like Bristol board paper that I still have in my closet.
And you're
I've
like,
never
no,
cracked.
this is
So
too
I'm like,
good. It's
I'm
like
gonna save it for,
for
something really good.
I understand that
You know?
completely. I
Yeah.
totally get that.
Yeah, like I had as a kid, I had that like Marvel Comics tryout book, which was essentially sold as like, here is actual comic art paper and the beginning of a Spider-Man story that you can draw yourself and submit to get a job at Marvel. And I would look at it almost every day for like years and think about like, all right, what am I going to draw in this book so I could get a job at Marvel when I grow up? And I never fucking drew a single line in that book because I was so frightened
You could
that
still
I would
do it.
mess it up. I could. I
Dreams
still
can
have
come
that book. I still have that book, but now it's mint. It's never been touched. It's
Oh yeah,
probably-
right. That's like
yeah.
you could sell that on eBay or something.
Yeah,
Have someone else
exactly.
get a job at Marvel. It's so funny, like the preciousness of materials. And I remember thinking to myself, like, okay, I don't think about putting gas in my car. Like this is gonna sound cheesy, but it's our time.
That's the alarm. So
I'll
let's
hold
do the
that thought.
swapperoo, and we'll do the swap.
Okay, so I'll leave this marker here.
Oh, we'll stay where we are.
Oh, okay.
We'll just swap the pieces of paper.
Great.
And this is the fun part.
I left you somewhere.
So you can see what I drew, and I'll see what you drew.
All right. Oh yay.
Neat. There we go.
Oh, this is so cool.
Fun.
I
Yay.
love it.
I also love this.
This is
is great.
This is really neat too because you drew the tongue and pencil, and it fits in with. I mean that the logo is yours, and obviously fits in with your drawing. That's so cool.
Yeah, doodling.
Yeah. So wait, which pen? I think I want to stick with where you were going.
Well, here you can just use this one.
Perfect.
Because that's the one I was.
That's
drawing
easy.
with.
And I'll take this break to have a little bit of vodka.
Oh yeah, I didn't
That'll
even
be
drink
exciting.
yet. Here, cheers.
Cheers.
Right on.
It's strong.
Yeah, I'm drinking tequila.
Oh.
I'll tell you someday about how my eyebrow fell off and I had to stop drinking beer, and then my eyebrow grew back. I guess I just told you.
Why did it fall off?
Because I had a problem in my guts from drinking too much beer and eating too much processed food that gave me like an immune system deficiency called alopecia, where your hair can fall out. And the first thing that fell out was my eyebrow, and they were like, "It's cool, you won't die. Nothing bad will happen to you other than all your hair falling out if you don't change your ways." So I've changed them, and I don't. That's what I was saying. Instead of drinking 35 beers a week, I drink 0. Well, I'll drink a lot of tequila.
I have to give you. Man, that was really strong. I'll have some water. I have to give you a book I wrote about a girl whose eyebrow falls off.
Nice. Wow. Can you tell us a little bit about that book?
Yeah,
I mean, weird and specific.
It's just this little girl whose eyebrow falls off, and then every day she draws it differently, and then she has a different emotion on her face because of it. So
nice.
Yeah, so it's there's some lessons in it. But I will, next time I see you, I'll give it to you.
Yay!
That's so funny.
So anyway, you were starting to tell a story before we swapped
Oh
out.
yeah, I was just gonna say about materials and going to the art store and like trying to buy things and like making the most of like the cheapest things, and I then realized like, okay, I don't have any problem putting gas in my car because I know I have to. Like that is a necessity, and I was like, this is a necessity. So I used to have a lot of guilt about buying art supplies when I needed to save money, but then I was like, but no, I need to draw just as much as I need to drive.
Yeah.
So once I thought of it that way, it made me feel a little better.
That's a good attitude.
Right?
That's like how I gave myself a little budget for this like whole setup. And I was like, but I need to make sure I get enough different kinds of weird art supplies that people feel free and can, do what they want. So it's like, it's worth it to get the fancy pens and stuff because it might, somebody might choose that. Like the very first one we did, Christy Caracas, the creator of Super Jail, he picked the like dip in ink style pen, and we drew in the dip in ink style pen, which is super weird. Like I haven't done that for like 10, 15 years. It was definitely challenging, and exactly what you fear to happen, where a big blob of ink falls on. You're like, I ruined it, but then you have to figure out a way to make it into art. Yeah.
Like, oh, a crater.
Yeah, exactly. It's a big shadow for no reason, But then it looks weirder, and it's like weirder is good. I like weirder.
Yeah, I feel like I I was going to say, I just recently went to a life drawing class for the first time in 10 years.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even a class, it was just drawing. But I went to the store and I was like, I'm buying whatever I want. I bought all this Vine charcoal and like, it was really fun. But now I got to go back to the class again to make it really work.
Yeah.
Like,
We do life drawing here, and I'm always bummed out because I always intend to go, and then I never end up going.
you have them for your
For
artists?
our artists,
Oh,
yeah.
that's so cool.
One of our artists, Edward Artinian, runs it. We have outside people. If you ever want to come,
Oh my
it's cool.
gosh.
We have outside people. You could,
Model? Just kidding.
you could do the, you could do the because it's like the Titmouse folks. Outside people got to pay.
Okay.
But you can get the in-house deal.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I would love that. It felt so good. It was kind of like working out for the first time in a long time. Like I was I forgot. And the thing I was really having trouble with, like, because I still remembered kind of how to draw a body but the head, like putting the head on the body and making that seem right. Yeah. That's where I was really struggling. I was like, what the heck? But it was.
And did you end up with a good head body at the end?
Some of them were a little shaky, but it was still really a fun. Like I was like, oh man, I didn't realize how much I missed this.
Yeah. It's fun. Life drawing's fun. I recommend it.
In college, I don't know if you had this experience where you kind of get to know your models.
Yeah.
Because there's a rotation of a few, and
sure, of course.
You like get to know their life, and
yeah. There's and you have the good and the bad ones. You have the ones like usually the good ones. There's not really a story because they're just normal, cool people.
Right.
It's like, hey, they're nice and they get along, even though they're posing without their clothes on in front of us. But then every once in a while you get a weird one. Like we had a consistent model for our animation class that was called something like drawing in motion or something like that. So she would come. She wasn't even nude, so it was even less suggestive than you might think for this story, because she would come in part of her allotted time, like she was there for an hour, and then like the last 15 minutes would be like dedicated to, like, if we were working on a film, to have her do poses that we could use, like if we needed something, like, hey, I'd love to have you draw, like go through the motion of doing this so that I'll have reference for how to draw it in my film. It was kind of a cool idea, except she always inferred weird, like, sexuality and things that we asked her to do that was not present at all, and then she would get offended and be like, and she just had the most annoying phrase, which was, homie, don't play that. She would say it like over and over again, so we just ended up calling the model Homie, was her nickname.
She was referencing a show from the 90s.
Exactly. Well, it wasn't too far off then.
Okay,
that was probably
gotcha.
95. So
it was right around then. Okay.
Yeah.
Because that's even better if it was like recently.
Yeah, but she, and we were like, what do you mean? And she was like, I know what you're trying to get. And we're like, what? I don't even know what you think we're trying to imply. We just want you to bend over and pick over a rock. And it's like,
oh my gosh. You do.
Yeah, exactly. It would get more frustrating because she would never tell us what she thought we were trying to get her to do that was sexual. So it was just super confusing and frustrating. So you'd be like, I don't even know what you think we're trying to pull over, and I assure you we're not. But also we're a bunch of 19, 20,
right.
21
so there's
year olds.
Something funny about it.
Yeah, so even maybe something we thought wasn't offensive might have been offensive. Who knows? So we talked about a bunch of different mediums, right? So there's puppets, doodling.
Yep.
Oil painting.
I like doodling with an N apostrophe.
Yeah.
Doodling.
Yeah, doodling.
Yep.
I'm going to write that word, doodling, in a doodly type font. We talked about music as far as ukulele playing and singing. Singing also gets an apostrophe.
Yep, exactly.
What medium? I guess we touched on acting a little bit. Maybe we'll get back to that. But the one I'm real curious about hearing your stories of, the suspense in this, is the medium of sand. because you worked in sand for a while.
I was a sandcastle building instructor, which is so crazy because I don't even know that job existed. And I mean, until I took it. My brother was a doorman over at Shutters in Santa Monica.
Yeah.
Shutters is like a pretty fancy hotel.
Yeah,
and,
I know Shutters. I went there once with Shannon for our anniversary.
Oh, nice. It's good. It's a good little staycation place.
Yeah.
Kind of just like, it's right by the pier. You can go play skee ball, which is what I usually do. But
skee ball is a highly trademarked thing. Every time we try to draw a skee ball in a cartoon, they're like, the lawyers are like, skee ball is highly litigious.
Really?
Don't. You could do a weird game with a ball, but you can't call it skee ball. So anyway, skee
no
ball.
Way.
Skee ball people, please don't sue us.
Or maybe we should just start calling it something else.
Yeah.
Skate ball.
Snowboard
Yeah,
ball.
yeah.
Anyway, sorry. And your story.
Oh yeah, so my brother had heard that they were gonna maybe start doing the sandcastle building class, and that they needed an instructor, and he knew that I loved to build things in the sand. So he's like, oh, my sister would be good at that. And they hired me like just without even, I didn't have to prove myself in any way. And I, brought a bunch of shovels and buckets, and every Sunday I'd go out to the beach and just wait for people to show up to make sandcastles with me. And a lot of times no one showed up, so it was just like me going to the beach and getting paid. And I got a crazy amount of money, which was so funny. I mean, I was like broke at the time and on unemployment, so it kind of all evened out at the end. But it was one of those things where going to the beach every Sunday was not a bad thing.
So did you build your own sandcastles when no one showed up for fun?
Yeah.
So were you kind of like a display model kind of thing? Like you had to build sand sculptures to like entice kids to come and... Were you meant to instruct them, right?
Yeah, but I found the kids didn't care too much, but parents really got into it. Like the mom and dad would be like, oh, wait, no, we're going to make this and this. And the kids are like, I'm going to go like walk over here. Like the kids weren't into it as much.
I want to play with my Game Boy.
Yeah, but parents really got into the whole...
That's cool. So, how do you work with sand? Do you put any weird, is there like weird mixture of like sand to water that's perfect? Did you crack the formula?
Well, I found it depended on the weather, and it also depended on, for sure, like how close you are to the ocean. But, the sand that's wet really is much easier, but it's a lot heavier. So you have to be strong to like dig it and pat it down.
Did you get real strong from working with the wet sand?
No, I got real sore. I don't know that I got strong. But I remember one time there was a family from Europe staying at Shutters, and I don't think they realized that the rules at the beach, well, the mom didn't realize that the rules at the beach in LA is you have to keep your clothes on. Where in Europe,
she was going European.
She didn't have a top on, and she was like helping, and I was just like, what do I say? I didn't say anything. What was I gonna say?
It's not your job.
I didn't exactly.
That, right?
And my friend who was a sculptor who came out to help that day, he was like, I picked the right day to show up. She was like a hot mom, so it all worked out.
Yeah, I would venture to guess that if you're working at a fancy place like Shutters, they would not want you to reprimand one of their guests. It's like, leave that to somebody else.
Exactly.
Not an employee of the fancy pants hotel.
So I just let it go, which was...
It's not.
That was, I think, fine. But,
so did you get more spectators that day?
Yeah. A lot more people were interested in what we were doing, oddly enough. I can't remember what we made. Oh, I know what we made. I think we built... These kids had just been to Vegas, and so they wanted to recreate like not the censorship, the Vegas Strip, like the pyramid and like New York, and all of that.
That's
so
cool.
They were really smart, cute kids.
Nice. You know who just moved to Vegas? Or one of your co-stars in Motor City, Dee Snider.
Oh, really?
Just let me know. He's splitting his time now.
Is he doing shows there?
I think he is. He moved from New York to now he lives part-time in Marina Del Rey and part-time in Vegas.
Oh, wow.
So,
Vegas is such an interesting place. We're playing there actually in March.
Right on. How do you like Vegas?
I like the quick trips there, in and out kind of, I'm not...
You're not a gambler?
I'm not a gambler, and I'm not a drinker really, aside from this vodka here. So yeah, I don't know. Like it's fun for a moment. They have really good restaurants and really good spas, and like there's a lot about Vegas that I think is cool, but I don't know. It's a lot of people.
When I went to Vegas with Shannon, we spent all our time in the kids' casinos. It was so
What's
fun.
a kids' casino? I didn't even know that's such a thing.
Every big hotel has like a kids' game room that they're not allowed to call a casino, but it's totally a casino. It's like little kid versions of like all the gambling shit, but like
What?
weird, silly, cartoony versions.
Are there
And you don't win
prizes?
money, yeah, because you can't, like, they can't gamble for money. So it's essentially like, once again, we'll bring up skee-ball, like, you know, like
It's
a
like an
Chuck E.
arcade.
Cheese or something, and then you get tickets, and then you can exchange it for prizes. So we got a bunch of cool prizes, and I was like, I'm doing that every time.
That
now.
I didn't know that exists, but next time I go, that is
Yeah.
definitely.
There was
what I'm
one
doing.
where you even like sit on a toilet, and I forget what the
What?
thing is, but it's like some kind of poo-poo related. It's like so juvenile. I was so happy. And the last couple of trips, we just went out to Indian reservations and bought tremendous amounts of fireworks that are only legal, and then you blow them up, and that's fun too.
Do you blow them up there or at your
You have
house?
to do them on the reservation because they're like so illegal
Oh, wow.
to have, and they should be illegal. I gotta say,
It's dangerous.
like, yeah, it's so dangerous. I don't recommend this for you kids that might be watching this. Don't do that. I'm not gonna tell you where it is. I used to love to blow stuff up as a kid.
Did you
It's probably not a good thing.
Did you have guns, or you couldn't have guns in New Jersey?
No, not a guns guy. I never had a gun. I mean, as a pseudo adult, I've been to like firing ranges and stuff like
Right.
that. It's not my thing. I like to smash stuff physically.
Smashing
We do
stuff. I
that-
mean, you're all about
we do
smashing
that
stuff.
party that's fun.
That's so
cathartic,
crazy. There's
but-
something about it, like when watching, like old TVs get smashed. It's sort of sad.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
But there's something physical about that your Neanderthal part of yourself would
Would-
probably dig it, because you don't get to do that in society, right?
No.
There's very few times where you can just take out all your frustrations on something and just beat the shit out of something until it's entirely broken without seeming insane. And a firing range it's just you just pull a trigger. It's way too easy, and it doesn't connect to that caveman part that you get by smashing. Blowing stuff up is kind of cool though. That's still, I guess, I don't know, somehow different.
When I was a kid, like 7, 8, which is really weird, I thought I was Annie Oakley reincarnated, and I would tell people this. It's so weird. And I had a picture of her in my room, and
So
yeah.
did you fire guns?
Yeah, I did. My dad, he's he has guns, but he would always teach us like, safety and all that stuff. Like I don't think it was not like looking back, it is kind of crazy to be a little kid and shooting guns, but we did have BB guns and stuff like that.
Sure.
And toy
I had
guns.
BB guns.
BB guns, yeah.
That's-
But I
that's
did
as far as I
shoot
got.
a 22 when I was like 9,
Wow.
which is
pretty
painful when you're
good.
9 because
Yeah,
it really has a
sure.
kick.
Yeah.
But yeah, but also like I wasn't scared of it because my dad really taught us like the
prepped
proper
you
way,
well.
yeah. And
Yeah.
also being such an Annie Oakley fan, I just thought, well, she was doing it.
Yeah,
You know.
clearly you gotta do it.
Never did it without someone there to watch over.
Yeah, that's good. I've seen some of those like sad videos.
Oh
on
my
the internet
God.
Where it's like, oh, the recoil of that rifle like broke the girl's cheekbone because no one told her.
Or
how powerful
worse,
it
like
was gonna be.
these stories in the news, I can't even read about them. They're so sad. There's so many.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of a major. Well, it's an understatement to say it's a major problem.
Yeah,
But-
yeah.
But yeah, there was something. I mean, I recently bought this little girl a book about Annie Oakley because I was so excited to share with her my excitement about Annie Oakley when I was a kid, and she's 8, so she's the age that I was. And I started
cool.
reading it, and I'm like, oh my god, it's all about guns, and it's so funny to be reading this little girl, all like, and then she got out her rifle and she shot the
And
squirrel.
she got her own
Yeah.
gun at the age of 4.
Yeah, it's sort of sad. It's just different now, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know what this is, but when you can, my drawings have a lean to them. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, like your hand pulls your.
But it'll look
pencil.
right to my eye, but then I look at it in the mirror and it doesn't look right.
Yeah, that's a super common drawing technique, especially with character designers. It used to be when you draw on a piece of paper, right? And in animation, you're often drawing on a light table, right? So
Right.
you'll draw your character, and then you'll flip it upside down and draw on the other side of the paper and correct everything that was fucked up.
Oh, is that really?
And now with the computer, you can just flop it,
Yeah.
and then you can just see it. But I think that is so super common that there's actually techniques to correct it, you know. That is, I think, what everybody goes through. So you are not alone on that one.
I'm just realizing, because I've drawn this thing and I really feel like it's got a terrible lean happening. But I can't tell until I look at it in the mirror.
This is live drawing, it's fun.
Yeah.
There's no expectation of things being perfect.
My grandpa...
Although we did one of the ones we did, J.J. Villard, who created King Star King, which I don't know if you watched on Adult Swim, crazy show. Did one with him, and then he went back later and did revisions to his.
Really?
After, because his office is right over there, and he came back and
he was like, okay, I'm gonna fix this up a little.
He changed it after the fact.
Give me a moment. Oh yeah. I'm a bit of a perfectionist in that way. I could see myself. Like I'll be back. My grandpa painted, and not like I think he did a lot of like almost more like Bob Ross, like he had a lot of trees but there was a portrait of a clown. I think that there was a time where clowns was like it was a thing to draw, right, or paint, and I had it in my room, and then one day I looked at it through the mirror, and I was like, oh, I see all the imperfections.
Yeah.
So he and I must have had the same, whatever that amount of lean we had toward our drawings.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah, I couldn't see it until I saw it in the mirror.
Yeah, that'll do it. Yeah, especially with faces. That's a big thing where people will correct faces after they do it. I worked on my first job out of school was working on Beavis and Butthead. And
what did you do on that?
That was at first I was a storyboard revisionist, then I was a storyboard artist, and then on the movie I directed a sequence where they take peyote, and
oh wow,
that was my first directing job. I was stoked. I was,
oh my gosh,
23 years old or something.
That's huge.
I was like so happy. But the thing was about that show is like Butthead, you couldn't flop. He looked so insanely different if you flopped him like
having looked the other way.
Like if you reversed the way his face, he was so asymmetrical.
Right.
It just looked like an entirely different character.
Oh, how weird.
And really, Mike Judge is a genius of character, and his drawing is so idiosyncratic that no one could really replicate it. That we just used the Xerox machine to copy the heads. Now with computers, you would just resize it. But I had one of those little things. It was like what the hell was it called? Everybody had one on their desk. It was a proportional scale.
Okay.
And it's like 2 plastic rings, and you would like measure the size of the model sheet and measure the size of the head that you needed it to be, and you'd turn the wheel, and it would tell you what percentage you needed to shrink it or blow it up on the Xerox machine. And you'd bring it back. You did this thing called butt cutting, which I thought was the most hilarious word.
Did they name that?
No. It was like a graphic design term, because you would butt the edges of the drawing up next to each other. But I thought it was funny because it had the word butt in
exactly.
it. But you'd butt cut. You'd lay a piece of paper, the resized head on top of the drawing you want to do, and you take a sharp X-Acto knife, and you'd press hard, so you'd cut a hole, and the negative space in your drawing, the Xerox that you just did would fit in there perfectly like a little puzzle piece. I don't know if I'm explaining that well enough, but it was really cool. Now they got computers, so nobody knows what this stuff is anymore. I was talking about a proportional scale to like a storyboard revisionist that I thought was old enough to know what it was, and he had no idea.
I feel like, when computers started to get more and more, like, were you all for it, or was it this weird kind of?
I think I hit the right, like just the right age. Right, I'm 43 now, so like I came up the old way and learned the way, like the hard way, essentially.
Right. Yeah.
Or the hard-ish way, not as hard as the guys who were like 30 years before me, but young enough to totally embrace the computer shit. I was a guy who was pushing it at MTV. The first show I created that got on TV was at MTV.
And what was that show?
It was called Downtown. It was basically like...
I remember that show.
Just did one season, but I was naive enough that I wanted to make like an art project. I was like, it's not a comedy. It's going to be like a fucking, experimental piece. We're just going to record audio on the street and animate to it. It eventually became more of a standard kind of show with scripts, and we cast it. We cast it mostly with people that we met on the street. That was cool. But anyway, the point is, I forced them to go digital. I was like, the things that you could do with digital is so good. We can change the color model whenever we want. We can do crazy camera moves. We can do all this shit that's like impossible to do on a camera stand. It was like not only like MTV's first show to do digital ink and paper, it was one of the first shows on TV to like fully be like, you know, do like not use cells in a camera stand and stuff.
Right.
So I was super lucky to have a network that didn't really give a shit how things were made. Like at MTV, it was almost like the Wild West. I can't imagine it ever being like that again. Like they were so high on the like success of Beavis and Butthead that they were just like, whatever, dude. Like do whatever you want. And like even when I like had to staff the writer's room, I called a friend of mine from college and I was like, hey, you want a job on my new TV show? And he was like, what do I got to do? And I was like, well, there's like a couple staff writer positions, and there's something called a story editor. And he's like, well, what pays better and what lasts longer? And I was like, story editor. So he's like, all right, I want that one. And like nobody questioned it. At a network now, you know how many hoops you got to jump through to fucking like staff your writer's room? Like nobody will, like it's highly scrutinized. And they just let me hire my college buddy, which is great because then he hires me. He's created some shows. He hires me to direct on his shows. I hire him to write. It's worked out great. So
you've worked together ever since?
Ever since, happily ever after.
A marriage made in heaven.
Yeah.
So how long were you in New York then?
I was in New York most of the 90s. Like
okay.
I graduated high school in the early 90s, went to New York in like early mid 90s.
Right around the beginning of Real World too.
Yeah, exactly. And then moved to LA like right in time for the 2000s. I love New York. It's awesome. It's getting super fucking expensive to live there though. We have a studio in New York and it's like more than twice as expensive for every, because you know you kind of break it down like, hey, every artist, the overhead costs this much, and in New York it costs like more than twice as much to even just have the like desk and electricity and rent like for an artist to sit there than it does in LA.
Wow.
So, but it's a cool enough city and there's great talent there, such talented artists in New York, and you're drawing from a different pool. And I gotta say, I have nothing against Cal Arts. I think some of my best friends went there and they developed great talent, but the people that come out of New York come from a totally different point of view, and I feel like the New York artist is not as, you don't get as expected a take, you know, on things as the kind of people who came up in the LA system. I mean, part of it is like none of our instructors ever worked on Disney films or like
right, sure, yeah.
real shit. They were all like weird beatnik guys who like worked on like you know Sesame Street or like there's a lot of commercials that get done in New York. So they're mostly like guys who worked on like commercials in like the 70s and 80s and stuff. So you get a totally different point of view. It's not about like you don't, you know, you do a lot more trial and error and stuff like that to get your skill set.
So your instructors at SVA, were they a lot of guys that had just been around forever, New York, like
yeah,
cartoonists and
and there were some they were like the, you know, it's like you look at like the roster of like Mad Magazine in the 70s and all those guys, which is, it's like, you know, Will Eisner was teaching a class, you know, like fucking award of cartooning is named after him, you know.
Right.
It's like we had like super, and like the comics industry for a long time was based in New York, so Marvel, DC guys, there were a lot of instructors who were like, I was the lead artist on Superman through
like,
the 70s
so crazy,
or something,
yeah.
you know. It's like stuff that, you know, it's like the cool thing about that school was you had to be a working professional in order to teach there. I actually
really?
taught there.
You did? What did you teach?
I taught Intro to Animation.
Oh, nice.
So some kids.
So you were currently working at MTV and then teaching at the same time, or?
Yeah, I did that for a little bit. Right, I would have kept doing it. It was great. But then I moved out here. It's hard to commute to New York from LA. Although I know people who do it.
Yeah, I love New York. I've never lived there, but I've been there for good chunks of time for different reasons, and
that's the best way to experience it. Yeah. It's super expensive to live there now. You either have to have a super tiny place or live pretty far away or be super rich.
Right.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It's been about an hour, so
I'll finish this last sentence.
yeah. So, Kate, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
joining me at the Tongue and Pencil.
I had the best time.
Awesome.
There's, because sometimes you ever find that if you're drawing and talking, it feels rude. So
Yeah.
this felt great. I just hope I was able to actually
Just
say
say rude, that's
sentences.
the point of it.
Yeah.
So, I always ask just in case. I'm not sure exactly when we're going to put these up, but if you want to plug anything, feel free to plug something.
What can I plug?
Your
Well, I'll just
music's
say,
always
sure,
on.
yeah, there's a bunch of Garfunkel Oates is on iTunes. I have a couple solo CDs on iTunes. And then my website is just my name, katemicucci.com.
Nice. Thank you so
Nice work.
much.
Thank you so
We
much,
did it.
Chris.
Chirp.